This is the Georgia Farm Monitor. Since 1966, your source for state and national agribusiness news, and features for farmers and consumers about Georgia's #1 industry, agriculture. The Georgia Farm Monitor is produced by the state's largest general farm organization, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now, here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Burgamy.
Yes, every week since 1966, 50 years to be exact, and as we've been saying since day one, so glad you can join us for another edition of the Georgia Farm Monitor. I'm Ray DeLessio.
And I'm Kenny Burgamy. Obviously, we haven't been here all 50 years, but keeping with tradition, we've got a great program lined up for you today. Now, coming up, Ray travels to Franklin County and spends the day with GFB Young Farmer Committee chairs Will and Heather Cabe. How life has changed for them since taking over the position and what they're looking forward to the most in the remaining 6 months.
Also on the program, how about Kenny rubbing elbows with former NFL defensive lineman Fred Stokes? Great story on how the Vidalia native is making the transformation from a sack master to sausage king.
And then later we check in with the Georgia gardener, Walter Reeves, who has some tips on how to make those plants burst with color. These stories and much, much more starting right now on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Well, the list of names who at one time served as GFB Young Farmer Committee chair is a who's who of Farm Bureau leaders. For instance, current American Farm Bureau President Zippy Duvall. Now this year, the couple in charge of leading the state's young farmers is Will and Heather Cabe of Franklin County. 6 months into their term, the Monitor traveled to the Cabe family farm to get their thoughts on what has transpired since they took on the position, as well as how they see the future of Georgia young farmers.
You know, it's not something that we had expectations of grandeur or anything of that nature when we took the position. It was about us having the opportunity to give back to an organization that's given so much to us over the years. And I feel like we've done that to some extent at least. We've tried to help other young farmers, to help other programs succeed, and that's what's been our driving motive.
We have been all over the country, from DC to Kansas City, and it has just been such a blur of meeting new people and learning new things about different aspects of agriculture that I never would have gotten to do before. And coming back home and seeing that the farm is still running, that we've got lots of backup here on the farm and our family's here, and just full support of everything that we're trying to do.
Well, welcome to Red Hill is the first thing I'd tell you. This is where I've been all my life on a predominant beef cattle and broiler operation. We've got 5 broiler houses and about 250 head of cattle. We have, over the years, added sheep in and hogs in and goats in. The hogs and sheep have left, the goats remain, but it's been a diversified livestock operation. It's been our emphasis. And we do things in such a way as to try to create the highest quality products for consumers. We do things in such a way as to be efficient in our resources and the things that God's given us, and try to make the best use of and be the stewards that He would have us to be.
For me, it's the fact that I get to be with my husband, with my kids, 24/7, that I can be at home and choose to educate them the way that I want to educate them, and that we can work hand in hand with Daddy and Grandma and in-laws, and it's amazing.
There's a lot of times I forget this is a job, for sure. I forget that it's a job because I'm doing what I enjoy doing. And we're out here in a drought in the hot summertime, and this is me. It's nowhere else I'd rather be. I'm created for this, I feel like. But I look at it more with an eye towards the future, because nothing that I do here, nothing that I do in Farm Bureau has anything to do with me. It's got to do with a couple of youngins that you might see in a minute, Deacon and Teller, and what I can create an opportunity for them to have in the future. And I try to expand, I try to make it more efficient, I try to streamline this operation such that they'll have something that they can be proud of, something that if they desire, they'll have the opportunity to work here and live here and raise families here.
Well, we've got our conference coming up, and that's always just a big thing for us. And I'm looking forward to seeing the committee again, and looking forward to the new committee coming on in December, and just doing a lot of stuff hands-on with our committee and working hand in hand on projects. And then we've got district events coming up, and it's just all really exciting to know that the next 6 months still have events and projects lined up ahead.
Well, I'm anxious to see what the future holds for the program and not so much myself. I know there's another group coming up that's got the opportunity to be real leaders, real changers in this program and contribute a lot to it, and I'm anxious for me to get out of the way and give them that opportunity. Now with that being said, the last portion of my run here, I'm sure going to stay at work, keep my nose to the grindstone, and try to give everything that I have to the organization and try to keep it moving forward.
And a big thanks to Will and Heather for allowing us to come to their farm and spend the day with them. Now, next week on The Monitor, we'll have a full report and recap of Georgia Farm Bureau's annual Young Farmer Meeting in Jekyll Island.
In other ag news, the nation's fourth busiest container port is set to increase its rail capacity. Georgia Ports Authority announcing that they've received a $44 million grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation, which, according to GPA executive Griff Lynch, will not only increase rail capacity and velocity at the Garden City Container Terminal, it'll also provide substantial benefits to surrounding communities by improving public safety, reducing environmental impacts, and avoiding commuter traffic. The project is expected to take 5 years to complete. Because of concerns over a sharp decline in pollinator populations, the EPA asked each state to customize a plan to help preserve these species.
Yeah, recently, Georgia was one of the first states to release their guidelines to the public. Damon Jones tells you what it is and why it's so important.
Many of the food items you find in a grocery store or at farmers markets would never make it to the shelves without the help of these guys. That's right, honeybees are essential to the agricultural industry as they perform a necessary job.
They provide pollination. I think the quote is 1 in 3 bites that we as humans eat is there because of the hard work of honeybees. So yeah, they're the ones that provide all our color in our diet. You know, when we go into that grocery store and you look in that produce aisle and you see all that color, it's there because of the hard work of honeybees.
That's why there is such a concern within the agricultural community with the sharp decline in the population.
Back in 2006 is when it really signaled, when we saw a huge collapse in our managed honeybee population. Since that time, we've not seen as much of a decline, but we're still in the 35–40% annual decline of managed honeybee colonies, and that's just not acceptable. We should be well below 20%.
It's a goal the EPA is pushing for as they asked each state to create guidelines that protect these pollinating insects. And thanks to a joint effort from UGA and the Department of Agriculture, Georgia is one of the first states to release their pollinator plan. Among the many suggestions is to try and avoid using harsh chemicals if at all possible. However, if it can't be avoided, make sure to spray responsibly.
Probably one of the biggest things that we stress is if you have to use an insecticide or a pesticide, herbicide, fungicide, or an insecticide, that you use it in the evening hours as the sun is going down, because that's when your pollinators they're out of the system, they have gone back home.
It also outlines things homeowners can do to be good stewards, such as leaving portions of their land undisturbed for nesting bees and to only put out the proper amount of insecticide.
Follow label instructions. I know it's difficult when you see something and your yard or your garden is getting, attacked by insects. Less is more.
And soon there will be visual signs that a colony is in the area, which should help prevent accidental spraying.
Farm Bureau is paying for these flags to be printed and then be distributed. And what it is the beekeeper will be able to fly this flag so that especially aerial sprayers or farmers in the area can see that there are beehives in that area.
And this is just phase 1 of the plan, as work is still ongoing to better protect these insects.
Our next goal right now is to start looking at specific commodities or specific groups like cotton, peanuts, soy, etc., and tailoring it more in that direction.
Reporting from Watkinsville, I'm Damon Jones for the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Time for a quick break. Now, when we come back, the story on how this former NFL star went from tackling quarterbacks to taking on the sausage world using a world-renowned product grown right in his hometown. That is next when the Georgia Farm Monitor continues.
My name is Lizzie Neal and I'm from Houston County. My connection and involvement with FFA comes from a very different background. I didn't grow up on a family farm, and my parents grew up playing sports. They didn't grow up showing livestock or even being in 4-H or FFA. So when I entered middle school as a 6th grade student, I was very shy, and it was actually Miss Denton at Perry Middle School who reached out to me and said, I have a place for you, I have a place you'll feel at home, and I have somewhere you can get involved. And so it was that initial reaction that I had to her warm welcome that got me involved in the organization that I've come to love. After FFA, in the next 2 to 3 years as I graduate high school, it's my dream to continue on into collegiate livestock judging. I'd like to start at a junior college and then transfer to Oklahoma State University or even come back to UGA as I continue studying ag communication so that I can continue being an ambassador for agriculture.
To learn more about the National FFA organization, log on to ffa.org.
Hi, I'm Stephen Shemp, the Executive Director for the Georgia National Fairgrounds in Perry, Georgia, and Agri Center. Originally, I've been with the Fairgrounds for 14 years. Originally came to Georgia from Massachusetts. Was fortunate enough to receive a scholarship to play baseball at Georgia College and State University in Milledgeville. Briefly went to work with the Bibb County Sheriff's Office for 6 to 7 years. Was fortunate enough, the Georgia National Fairgrounds had an opening for a public safety director. I applied, they liked me, they hired me, and since then I became a student of the Georgia National Fairgrounds and Agri Center. I enjoyed the business, its mission, believed in it. I thought it was one of the best products that the state of Georgia had ever developed, and I wanted to learn everything there was to know about the Georgia National Fairgrounds and Agri Center. The process of the fair, the process of the year-round activities, what it took to put the fair together, the amazing staff that works here, and putting everything together to showcase agriculture, the achievements of Georgia's youth in agriculture, to stimulate Georgia's economy and our economic impact on the state of Georgia. When you bring that all together, this place is just fantastic, and I couldn't think of a better place to represent and to promote the Georgia National Fairgrounds and Agri Center. What goes into throughout the year besides the fair, basically we're trying to keep our doors open. We want to bring in commercial events that help us financially stay open and to be able to reinvest in our youth, into our agricultural programs, into our equine programs. And it gives us an opportunity. We do everything from weddings to hog shows. You know, we're really a full service facility. My mission here is first of all to continue what this place was built for. I think if we stick with that and we concentrate on what's important to Georgia's agribusiness, to our youth in agriculture, and we give more opportunities to showcase our youth, to showcase the fairgrounds, and through what we're trying to do is put a little more investment in here where we've already started getting on the national level in our equine business. I want to take that further. We've got some opportunities that we can reach out with a little bit of expansion to really get on the national level and to bring people from not only across the country but from around the world to Perry, Georgia.
Discounts, discounts, and more discounts. One of the many perks of being a Georgia Farm Bureau member. Best of all, annual membership dues only $25, and membership is open to everyone. You don't need to be a farmer or have insurance with us to join Farm Bureau. For more information and other benefits of becoming a member, just log on to gfb.org and head on over to the membership section.
In 1998, after 10 years of playing pro football in the NFL, Fred Stokes returned to Georgia Southern University in Statesboro and received his degree. Now he's putting his name and business knowledge together for the purpose of a positive message and a great Georgia food product. The 6'3", 240-pound Super Bowl champion still enjoys showing off his commemorative ring from the big game, and he enjoys talking with people that he meets. From 1987 until 1997, Fred Stokes, nicknamed Big Play Stokes, played defensive end for 3 different NFL teams in 4 different cities.
Washington, L.A., St. Louis, and actually 4 cities, 3 teams. So went to the Saints. I signed with the Saints in 1996. a 3-year contract, and I ended up hurting my knee and had knee surgery, ended up on both knees, and it just, what the old song say, the thrill is gone. It was an experience, man, that just like the rest of my life, just all a part of God's plan.
Stokes is a speaker, author of the autobiography The Bridge That Brought Me Over, and entrepreneur. After receiving his degree in 1998, Stokes started marketing foods for the U.S. military.
And I traveled all over the world with the military. And so I continued to stay in the meat business after that and worked with the company he was working with. And then in 2007, a company from Statesboro called me and asked me about branding some product, and it happened to be sausage. It could have been chicken. It could have been bacon or ribs. It just happened to be sausage, and that's a God thing because I love sausage. But
Stokes told me because his hometown of Vidalia is so special to him, he'll include the city's most valuable player to his food team.
I ended up connecting with Susan Waters. A friend of mine told me about Susan, who's in charge of the Vidalia Onion Committee. And Susan and I talked, and she had some ideas. And Susan's brain is always rocking, and she had some ideas. And why don't we do a Fred Stokes sausage with Vidalia onions? And I thought, Susan, I'm always talking about the onion. I've got a great sausage. It's natural casing. It's gluten-free. It fits into what you guys are doing. The Vidalia onion is awesome. The sweet onion is amazing. So a few months ago, Susan and Bob Stafford, we actually went over to it's made in Alma, Georgia, where it's packaged. And we put some onions in a Fred Stokes sausage, and it's off the charts.
He's created a Vidalia sweet onion flavored smoked sausage. It's available now to both retail and wholesale markets in South Georgia and North Florida. 50 miles to the south of Vidalia is where you'll find Fred's product being produced. DLE brand of Bacon County distributes the sausage using the sweet onions in its ingredients.
We've been in business since 1920, and we employ over 300 people in this town and produce roughly 20 million pounds of meat a year. It is a great honor to be the producer of his sausage. He makes a very fine product, and we're glad to make it for him. His picture on the front makes it so great, but it is great tasting sausage otherwise.
If God allows me to impact 100 times more lives than I am today, that would be great, and bring him the glory.
Just a reminder, if you missed any part of this story or others on today's program, you can still see them in their entirety at our YouTube channel. That's the Georgia Farm Monitor. Once there, you can browse the archive of stories dating as far back as 2009.
And of course, once you're done watching all those informative stories, just keep clicking and like the Georgia Farm Monitor Facebook page we have set up for you. If you have a story idea, or if you just want to leave us a comment or suggestion, feel free, send us a message either on Facebook or at the address you see there on the screen. That is news@farm-monitor.com. Up next on the Monitor, we check in with the Georgia gardener, Walter Reeves, who has some tips on how to continuously change the color of your hydrangeas. Stay tuned.
Gather your materials and then fill your giant test tube. That's sort of what these engineering students are doing. They're part of the American Ecological Engineering Society meeting held at UT. They pack sand, soil, clay, and rocks, creating a bioretention system that might help with stormwater management.
The students will work in teams, and their charge is to design a bioretention media, and that is a component of a stormwater management practice. And this media needs to be designed such that it targets the removal of pollutants such as nitrate and phosphate.
We're going to stir it up. We're going to take a sample.
Dr. Andrea Ludwig with Biosystems Engineering and Soil Science at UT's Institute of Agriculture helped organize this event. So now that our tubes and buckets are full, let's do this.
Go!
Students pour water into their design columns, all to learn which combination of materials might work best at removing pollutants and reducing urban runoff. As the water filters through, just how pure is it?
These future engineers from UT and other universities will likely someday work to protect our environment and ecosystems. Meantime, this competition challenges them to find a stormwater management solution to a real-world problem.
And that problem is dirty urban waterways, sometimes caused by heavy rains hitting pavement and then flowing here.
And so as that runoff leaves pavement and all the impervious surfaces that cover our developing watersheds, that has an impact on water quality, has an impact on our ecosystems.
But a problem that needs a solution is also a learning opportunity for these students who like the idea of helping the environment.
Most people don't necessarily think of impervious surfaces or just like the urban environment as being polluting our water, but it is, and I like that I can educate people on it.
Engineers want to build things that solve a problem. And in this case, the students could have future careers that include using their knowledge and skill to help our natural world. This is Charles Denny reporting.
Thank you, Charles. Finally today, everybody likes a little change from time to time, especially when it comes to the landscaping around your property.
Yeah, and who better to discuss that than the Georgia gardener himself, Walter Reeves. Today, Walter takes on the subject of hydrangeas.
Hey everybody, I'm Walter Reeves at Woodlands Garden in Decatur, Georgia. My grandmother was just a genius when it came to growing hydrangeas, and she could have pink hydrangeas, she could have blue hydrangeas, but she always had a special formula of something she would add to them to make them change colors. She could have a pink hydrangea one year, 2 or 3 years later it would be blue. And conversely, one year you see a blue hydrangea in the garden, and within a couple of years, hey, it'd be pink. How did she do that? Well, she didn't have to tell me the secret because I went to high school and I learned in 11th grade about pH. And pH is just the measurement of how acid or how alkaline the soil is. And that is what changes the color of hydrangea flowers, in particular these mophead hydrangeas right here. So if you have a blue hydrangea, how can you make it turn pink? It's easy. You change the pH. Well, how do you change the pH? You have to go back to 11th grade and figure out how to change the pH to make the soil alkaline. Now, anybody who's gardened for a while knows that you use lime to make soil alkaline, right? And so I got a box of agricultural lime, and I'm going to take about a tablespoon of it and mix it in a bucket of water to dissolve it. Now, it won't all dissolve, I know that. But when you have a blue hydrangea, put about a tablespoon or 2 of agricultural lime in a bucket of water, dissolve it as best you can, and then pour that around your blue hydrangea. And when you pour that around a nice shrubby blue hydrangea, do that once a year for a couple of years, all of a sudden it'll turn pink because it'll make the aluminum in the soil no longer available and the bloom will turn pink. But suppose you have a pink hydrangea and you want to turn it blue. What do you do then? Well, you have to acidify the soil then. And how do you change the acidity of the soil? We add sulfur. So you go to the store, get some agricultural garden sulfur, big tablespoon in the bucket. You know what comes next. Stir it around real good. And of course, for both of these, you read the label to find out exactly how much you need for a big shrub versus a small shrub, but a lot of times I do mix it with water to get it dissolved as best I can. And then I pour that on the ground next to my pink hydrangea. So making the soil acid makes a pink hydrangea turn blue. Making the soil alkaline with lime makes a blue hydrangea turn pink. Yeah, if you can remember that and go back in the deep, dark past to remember there in your 11th grade science class about what pH is, you can change the color back and forth, and your grandchildren can say, now, how did Grandpa or Grandma do that? How did they change the color? Stay tuned, lots more garden tips on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Walter, thank you very much. Very nice job. That is going to do it for this week's edition of the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Here's a reminder for all the latest ag info regarding food, great recipes, and what's happening down on the farm. Be sure and check out our Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest pages. You'll stay informed and see what's up in the world of farming and the Farm Monitor Show.
Take care, everybody. We will see you next week right here on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Have a great week.